What happens when nearly everybody around you buys into your program? Coach Darren Alford and I will talk about that right after this on the Integrity Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast, covering local sports in the Southwest Georgia area, creating content that is factual, positive, and informative, promoting efforts by athletes, coaches, and sports administrators. Now, here's your host, Tim Estes.
And welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Estes, and we had a great week last week with over 3,000 people viewing our program. We appreciate that. If you're watching today on Facebook, make sure and hit the like button and share it with your friends. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can know when we have upcoming programs available. It's my joy today to have a good friend of mine, Darren Alford, who is the head football coach at Sly County High School with us. Coach, thank you for joining us.
I appreciate it, Tim. I appreciate y'all having me on the show today.
Hey, we're going to talk about recruiting and National Signing Day and some of that coming up a little later in the program. I know that's something that's on a lot of people's mind. But I want to first talk about your past season that you just had. Sly County winning the first ever region championship in school history. You made your run all the way to Atlanta to the state football finals. Got to play there at Georgia State, and that was a lot of fun. But, Coach, as an adult, as a broadcaster, I found myself on like Tuesday or Wednesday thinking, man, is it Friday yet? I mean, it was a lot of fun to be a Sly County fan this year. I know for you, it's probably a little bit more of a grind, but talk to us about your season and the things that went on from start to finish.
Well, it was an exciting season. We enjoyed every bit of it. And like I said, we started way back in January of the year before that. We started with our weight training stuff at school, and then we added, after school's agility about mid-February, and went all the way with that into, the summertime. We went out and we did a lot of 7-on-7. We did some things at Georgia. We did some stuff at Florida State this year, and this past season, and it was fun. We got in there, we did our padded camp, and then before we knew it, we were in pads starting against Irwin County here for our regular season scrimmage. And from that point on, every week we just tried to get a little bit better and better. The excitement, kind of grew as the year was going on. And then it kind of culminated, for us at Manchester when we had a chance to win the region championship. And our kids, we worked hard all week that week. And then they came out and they played. And we really dominated that game. I was surprised about the outcome of that game, the way we handled our business. And it was just an exciting point. And we knew at that point that the region championship was right at our fingertips. All we had to do was come home and beat Marion County, and it was there for the taking for us this year versus them. And our kids came out from the very start. We won the region championship, and that was exciting for this team because it's something that's never been done before in the history of this program. They were undefeated in the region, and then we focused on trying to get better for the playoffs, trying to, work on some fundamentals and things going into the playoffs. And as we got into the playoffs, it was just kind of like the energy each week just kind of got a little bit more and more. And before we knew it, we were in Atlanta. Like you said, it was Tuesday afternoon, you waiting for that Thursday kickoff to come. And it was a tremendous game. Our kids gave everything that they had. And I'm just so proud of the effort, proud of the community and support that we had and the people that was been behind us this past season. It was an awesome ride.
And Darren, I would imagine you take your group into that big stadium in Atlanta, and just to walk in, to be on that field and know that you've got Sly County on the front of your jersey, that's got to be something that for those kids that are coming back, they know now what to build for.
Absolutely. Those kids, they wanted that. And you always kind of worry as a coach, is the show or is the platform going to be a little too big for you? And our kids, they just walked right on in there and said, no, this ain't too big for us. And they got out there and just played hard the whole game. It was probably, one of the best games that was played up there in any classification. I felt like when you go back and when you're in the middle of it coaching, it's a tough thing. But when you go back and look at it, it was a tremendous game for fans to watch. It was exciting all the way through. So we're thrilled about that, and we're definitely hungry to do that again.
Coach, a lot of folks know your name. A lot of folks know you, but for those that may not, let's go all the way back and just kind of tell people how you got into coaching, kind of what was the mindset, and where you've been from start until now.
Well, growing up, I just loved the game of football. When I was a little kid, we'd go out in the yard, and me and my brother Warren, we'd just go out there and we'd throw the football around. Rick Davis, if y'all know Rick, and,
Yeah.
and his brother Doug, he lived next door to us. So we would get out there and we'd play football all the time, and we loved it. And, um, got into school and started playing, pee wee football, those kind of things. And I enjoyed it. And I was just never blessed with the size to really play. I'm 5'8" and weighed about 130 pounds in high school, trying to play right guard. So it was a tough situation right there. But I had some really, really good coaches throughout my days. David Bailey coached me in high school. And so did Coach McMichael. He was my coach my senior year. And I learned a lot of things from those guys. I learned how to do things. And those were men of great integrity. They had a lot of character about them, and they expected character from us at that time. And because of those guys, I knew, I wasn't ever going to play any college football or anything like that. But I always knew I wanted to coach ball. So I, got into college and made, PE what I wanted to do. And I was always a bodybuilder and a weight trainer, a weight lifter. So the weight room always was something I wanted to do. And I did that and got through school and did all those kind of things. And, I was with the opportunity to get up at Tri-County High School with Coach Willis as my teacher and my coach up there. Him and Rusty Tundy took me on when I was student teaching, and we went up there and I fell in love with it from that point forward. And I've been to Americas. When I first got out of school, I was at Staley Middle School for 13 years.
Yeah.
Over there. I coached football at Staley for 5 of those 13. And then I moved up to the high school when Eric Soliday came to the school, and he brought me up as a running back coach. And, we know those great seasons and all the fun.
Absolutely. That had to be a lot of fun.
Oh, it was awesome. You talk about a grind when you play 15 straight games for 3 straight seasons. At the end of that third season, we only played 14 that third season, but at the end of that season, I was beat, but it was so much fun, the things that we did and the excitement in the community. And during that time, I learned football with Coach Soliday. You think you know football, but then you get around some good people. I came up with Coach Regal, who was absolutely the most organized man I've ever seen in my life, and I learned how to organize from him. But I learned coaching football, from Coach Soliday and that staff that we were there. And I was there, in Americas for a while, and Coach Soliday left. I stuck around to 2010. I had a couple of head coaches there when I was there, and got to be the offense coordinator there in Americas for a little while. And I left there and went to Dublin, and Dublin I was at West Lawrence High School, and I met one of, how you find people in life where you meet friends for life. I met Stacy Nobles, who was a great Christian man.
Yeah.
He was a man who lived his life for God. He lived it in front of the kids. He lived it in front of the coaches. And I learned a lot from him about how to run a football program. I watched him, and I do a lot more stuff that I learned from Stacy in the program as far as character building and trying to get kids, going in the right direction than any other coach I've ever been around. And I was really, really fortunate to have those 3 guys. I'm going to be honest with you. Dan Regal, Eric Soliday, and Stacy Nobles. I had a real, real good foundation of what it was going to take to be a head football coach and how to run a program. And that's got me to the place where, 7 years ago, the job came open here, and I got a call from Adam Hathaway, and he asked if I want to come interview, and I did. And, basically the rest is history.
Well, Coach, you talked about all these coaches that influenced you. I want to talk for just a minute about the coaches on your staff, because when I look at what would the ideal coaching staff at a small school be, not only are the guys on your staff knowledgeable of what they're doing, they're also great men of character.
They are. Of course, when you're hiring people that you definitely want to look at that. And, it took a while for me to get the staff where I really wanted it. And it's going to take time to do things like that. But I've just got some guys on my staff that, they love God. They love the kids. And that's one of the number one things that my coaches do. And when I look for coaches who love kids, because, you might not be a great football coach altogether sometimes, but if you love kids, you'll do what's necessary to become the football part of it. But you can't fool kids. I've learned. I've been in this thing for 31 years now, and you're not going to fool a kid. They know the truth from the beginning. They know whether you care about them or not, and kids play for those guys, that care about them. I've got just on my staff, my offense coordinator Richard McCorkle. He's a tremendous football coach. He loves our kids. He does everything. He's been a great, asset to this program. We brought him in. Defensively, Tim Peavy does my defensive coordinator, and he's very sound in what he likes to do. And he's a good man of God. He loves the kids, and once again, he does that. And then on the defensive side, I got Greg Smith and his daddy Steve Smith. Greg does D line for me. Steve does the outside linebackers, and Earl Dupree, he does our defensive back. And those three guys, are tremendous defensive minds. They know it. Greg has been with me from the beginning. He came with me. I actually, one of the first mistakes that I ever made here was I announced him as part of my coaching staff before the board, and everybody approved it. You're a young coach. You're coming up first time as a head football coach, and you don't realize sometimes you got to follow that protocol. But Greg, he does a great job for me, and I just appreciate everything that him and the defensive guys that I've talked about doing. And on offense, you got, Clifton Aldridge Jr. He's a board member's son here, Mr. Clifton. They're great people, good men of God, like we say, and Steve does my receivers here. And of course I do the O-line. So, we've got a great staff, and, I've got a player, William Blackwell, that also has, come back and helps us out with kicking and special teams and O-line. So I'm excited about our staff. We got a good group of guys that teach our kids right.
Yeah. Coach, you just went through National Signing Day, and I saw where you had another kid sign, which has kind of become the norm at Sly County. But talk about the one that has signed and what may be coming down the road.
Well, Clinton Jackson signed at Hutchinson Community College, and they're a premier community college that sends kids to Division I schools all over the nation every year. Most of their players, when they graduate from there, it's an 18-month program. They'll go there. They'll, play 1 to 2 years of football there. And at the end of that second year, usually they're, will sign out to a major school. And we're expecting that from Clinton. Clinton's one of the greatest football talents that I've coached. And me saying that because some of the guys that we've coached over the time. He's that kid that can run, jump, and do all the things. He's got all the intangibles, and he's got a ceiling that's extremely high, So Clinton's going to move on. He's going to do what he needs to do and get back this way. And I feel like, in a few years, hopefully we'll be able to watch him play on a Saturday afternoon at a SEC school or ACC school or something like that, some school like that in our area. And in this class also, we still have Luke Forehand that's got some, opportunities Thomas University, of course, has offered him.
Yeah.
He's looking at some walk-on opportunities out in the Midwest. He really wants to get out in the Midwest, and Luke's going to find a place. We're still working on it. I was talking to some people this morning about it, about him trying to find him a place. He's got a chance to go out to Hutchinson also as a walk-on guy and compete for a starting job out there. And if he goes, he's gonna do what it takes because he's a football player. He's physical, he's tough, he's rough, and he's one of the better outside linebacker / defensive end guys that we've coached in a long time. Then we got some other guys that are here that we're still trying to place. DeMarcus Clark has also been offered by Thomas University. Malachi Banks has been offered by Thomas University, and they're in the process right now of going through and trying to see if we can't land them, at a school close by or that school, maybe LaGrange College or somewhere in schools like that in our area.
Yeah, Coach, even with those guys being seniors, and they did a great job representing Sly County. But anybody that knows football in the Southeast has heard of Jalewis Solomon and Zayden Walker. That's a junior in Jalewis Solomon and a sophomore in Zayden Walker. But they're kind of all world, and they've hit all the recruiting sites, and everybody's got them with 4 stars or 5 stars. And one of the neat things is to see over the last 2 years, guys like Kirby Smart flying in a helicopter, and Nick Saban coming to your school, or Dabo Sweeney, or hopefully Hugh Freeze in the next few days. Coach, tell us about that. What's it like for a big time college football coach like that to show up on campus at Sly County?
Well, the thing that happens is, somebody will take a picture while they're here with us, and then that picture goes all over the nation, and people see that, hey, what is this little Sly County thing? You know what I'm talking about? So it puts our school on the map, first of all. And it's exciting when you have those guys come in. I mean, when we had Nick Saban up here and he got to talk with all our coaches, and every one of the coaches were up here when he came in here, and he talked to us, and it's kind of fun when you get to talk to the greatest college football coach of all time. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's just something that you don't get a chance to do. We were blessed to have him in here, and he's just a down to earth kind of guy. Just sat there and talked to us like we're his best friends, and Coach Smart's the same way at Georgia. He'll come in and he'll talk to us, and he treats you like you're part of his family. And that's why they're successful, because they know how to treat people.
Yeah.
And yes, we've had a chance to talk to Coach Freeze since he came in a little bit late at Auburn, and I got a chance to speak with him through a Zoom meeting, and he's excited about Sly County. He's going to be coming down this way, when he can. Of course, the head coaches can't come back, until January of next
Right.
year, but they're going to be, have people from all the schools coming in during spring football this year. We'll have, probably just as many coaches on the football field as we got kids out there looking at these kids, watching them play, which is a great thing, because you always have 2 or 3 other kids they start seeing.
Coach, we hear a lot these days about NIL and the transfer portal, and I'm not sure any of us fully understand what all that is, but kind of give us your thoughts on both NIL and the transfer portal.
All right. Well, NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. That's what it means. And a student athlete, or it's basically selling their name, their image, their likeness. That's what it's what you talk about when you talk about NIL. And what it's funded through, usually private corporations that come in and talk to these kids and give them a contract to provide a service using their name, image, or likeness, for that particular company. A lot of colleges now are letting the companies come in, and they're making a fund basically, and they're trying to spread the NIL deal across their campus to all their students, so that to try to keep it as fair as possible amongst those kids that are there. I can't stand it, because I'm not gonna lie about it. I feel like we're devaluing college education. I mean, the bottom line is less than 0.5% of those kids in Division I schools are going to go out and make the NFL or be in the NFL. So they need to make sure that they're getting their diplomas more than anything. That's the thing that I'm so excited about Big Z.
Yeah.
That is here. He's going to graduate probably in the fall of next year.
Yeah.
And then he's got he can play next year, and he's actually got 2 more years of eligibility after that because of the COVID year. So he can pursue other things, but he's always going to have that degree, with him. And that's what I was talking with Coach Smart and Coach Saban about the transfer portal. And he says that the biggest issue with those things is a lot of those kids that enter the transfer portal will never graduate, because they go to different schools with different degree programs, and a lot of their classes that they took won't transfer over. And then when they run out of scholarship, they don't have money, and a lot of these kids are not going to have that money to continue the education. So I feel like it's changing the game. I hope it doesn't destroy our game. I think it has the potential to destroy the game, because it's really, really affecting your seniors in high school that are what we call tweeners. if you're not a blue chipper, or what happens a lot of times is that in-betweener that would go to Valdosta State or to a Georgia Southern or somewhere like that, now is not getting those offers because those number twos coming out of the transfer portal are not getting the schools they want, and they're landing in a lot of those smaller, Division I type schools. So they're taking up spots for these young kids, and I'm hoping that doesn't hurt our sport down the road. I don't know that I will see it, but I know it's going to be a part of the future of the sport.
Yeah, Darren, I want to talk a little while about your family, and not just your immediate family. I can remember from the time I was a very young adult meeting your father-in-law, John Linneman, at the America's High Games back in the day. And now every time I show up at Wildcat Stadium or in Johnson County, there's Mr. John. He's always there. But you've got a great extended family, and then of course your wife Jenny and your kids, and like me, you too are a grandfather, and that's such a joy. But talk a little bit about what it's like to have such good family support.
Well, I am what I am because of my father. First of all, he taught me right. He took us to church every day, and yes, that's still something that needs to be done in our world. And he made sure we were there on Sunday, and he became a minister, and he was a preacher, and he made sure God's word was put in us. Every morning I can remember getting up at the table, and Daddy was going to open the Bible up, and he was going to sit down. He was going to read a chapter with our entire family, me, Warren, my mama, and my daddy would sit there. He was going to read a chapter, and he's going to talk about something in that chapter. Then we were going to say a prayer, and we were going to go into our day. And that was something that we're missing. A lot of people are in life now because of social media, different kind of things. Latchkey children. But my mama, she stayed at home, and it concerns me about life. But talking about my family, my wife, God knew that I needed somebody, and my wife Jenny, she runs probably 50% of this football program that nobody even knows about. She does stuff for me. I just ask her to do it, and she takes it. She's so gifted with her organizational skills and the things that she does. And she just takes the things that I ask her to do, and she gets it done, getting churches to do things for our school, making sure all the meals are taken care of. She feeds our kids brownies every week. She gets them stuff. We go get pizzas for them. She's awesome, what she does. And I love her so much. And, and God knew that I needed somebody like her, because when you're doing a head football coach job, nobody explains to you until you get the job what you have to do. And if you don't have the support staff that I've got, it's hard to be successful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, Mr. John, he's there always. He's my biggest fan in the world, and I'm so thankful for him. And Miss Connie and my mama, they're going to travel across the world. We're talking about, 80-year-old folks traveling all over the place trying to see me. That means something, I'm so thankful for the support that I have, and those grandkids. You know how they are. You got to go try to find some time to hug them. I got some coming in this weekend, and I can't wait to see them.
Well, we're going to wrap this thing up with this final question, Darren, or not really a question, but a point of discussion. One of my favorite things in Sly County football is once the game's over, how all the fans go out on the field and the families of those players, and they hear the coaches this is whether you win or whether you lose, and you're always under control and you always give credit where credit's due. And then we end with a prayer, and it's everybody praying together. And it's become really a special time, hasn't it?
It has. That's kind of my vision of how I wanted things to do. And that's, I want, in the end, whether you win a game or whether you lose a game, that's not the most important thing. It's not even, the top 5 things that you would do. We want to win. That's part of it. But, if we can't positively affect people with our lives, then, that little dash between our number when it's on our gravestone, it really doesn't mean nothing. And that's what I want to do. I want to make sure that we affect these kids in a positive manner. And I want our community to be able to, say, yeah, that's our program. That's the way we do things. God is number one. My family, is right there behind it. And the Wildcats, our country comes in there. And Wildcats are somewhere down the line, but in that family, the Wildcats are right there also.
Absolutely.
So and that's what we do, and you're a big part of that too, Tim, all the stuff that you do for us with our program.
Well, I appreciate that, and want to let everybody know that today's program has been brought to you by Sweet Pea and Magnolia's online boutique. You can find them on Facebook. We've got a lot of women that watch this show, Coach, and they can go to Sweet Pea and Magnolia's on Facebook or go to www.shopspmboutique.com and get you some good clothes. Coach Alford, it's been a joy to have you today. Always love talking to you and really appreciate the positive impact you've had on those kids and really the entire community.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it a lot, Tim. Thanks for having me today. I appreciate all that you're doing for our community also.
Thank you for making Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. We'll be back with you next week. And don't forget, like and share this on Facebook. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Until next week, so long, everybody.